Here.
Mr. Porter? Mr. Bonner?
Here.
Mr. Spalding?
Here.
Mr. Wade?
Here. This meeting is being streamed live and digitally recorded. Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Weaver, will you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, sir.
No problem.
Adoption of the board agenda. Do I have a motion on that?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Mr. Spalding?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes. Presentation and recognitions.
Okay, so we've got Nate Green here from Thrive Logic presentation, and Mr. Brown's going to give us an introduction.
Just real quickly, Nate, I've known Nate for a long time. He's a Zane Trace graduate. Nate started a security company, and he does a lot of social media posts. I reached out to him one day, just said, hey, I seen you're doing some big projects around the country. He does. They've done SoFi Stadium in California. They've done Texas A&M or Texas Stadium where the Cowboys play. Done some work in Vegas. He does Blue Jackets, Schottenstein Center, and they are now venturing into schools. He and I and Corey and a number of our admins and people have met and talked over the last 6 months, and based on the meetings that we've had, things that are happening with school security around the country, around the world. We have connected with CPD and talked about this technology and the things that he's going to share with you. And I'll ask Nate to come up. And he does have Scott Soraki, I said that right, who is also a partner that's going to share a little bit of information virtually with us. So,
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today. And I've got Scott on the line, and what we're going to do is kind of walk you through what we're planning to do with Chillicothe High School. But we saw all the incidents upticking in school safety, and we wanted to figure out a way to get ahead of it. So Scott and I worked with the FBI and Homeland Security, and after each one of these events, the first thing they do is put somebody on the news that go, well, we knew that kid was going to do that. We had an indication that they were doing that. So we said, what are the key indicators that you guys are looking for that we could observe using our AI to give the school a chance? And they said, well, it's time and attendance, it's performance, it's behavior changes. So what Scott and I developed is in the military and in law enforcement, you hear the left of bang. That's before anything bad ever happens. This is information gathering, things that we can do to be proactive. Then if the bad thing happens, we call that the right of bang. So we have built an AI platform to be able to do both the left of bang and right of bang. And interesting enough, we are able to predict using our analysis and looking at the indicative behaviors of key indicators that have been said over time. These are the top 5 things you should look at. And we've developed this so that I can hand it to her and to Aaron, and we can look at a potential inside threat student, somebody that's going through some hardships. And you guys will know 13 to 18 months before they ever make that critical decision to come in here and take a life at the school. You'll be able to see it. After about 3 weeks, you learn what Chillicothe High School's normal looks like, the behaviors, the patterns, the flow. And then when anything falls out of that normal, we let you know about it so that you guys can, as a team, address it. And one of the byproducts that we noticed out of this is sometimes an active shooter shows the same trends as somebody that's about to commit suicide. So even that, we want to be able to share that early, give that to guidance counselors so that you guys can make a difference. We'll dive in and I'll show you some examples after Scott goes through the left of bang. But the right of bang things that we've taught it, every single school invests grant money, hard-earned tax dollars money to put in video surveillance systems, access control systems that really don't do much, right? It allows you to see recorded video of the bad thing that happens, you'll be able to see what we've developed. That we have built an algorithm, and it started in the defense space, but as we see a weapon brandished, which the outside weapon threats are up 500%. So no longer is somebody trying to sneak a firearm into the building. When they come to be prepared and they're out in their parking spot and they make that decision, we detect that early, lock down the doors, give a law enforcement, Chillicothe PD, a feed with the location, and it allows you guys to buy that 2.5 to 3 minutes that most people today don't have. Most of these events are over within 8 to 9 minutes. And what we want to do is if we can buy 2.5, 3 minutes early and deter and create barriers and give people early indication of where that threat's at, we can save tons of lives with this. So as we've developed this for corporate America, you guys saw the active shooter walking around New York a few weeks ago. We can run that video, even though we all watch it on CNN, Fox News, we can run that video through our platform and it detects it instantly. So it kind of breaks your heart when you see sometimes it's just very capable of detecting that very early. So I'm going to turn this over to Scott, and then he'll show you what we're doing from a predictive analysis standpoint. Then I'll show you what we will do with your existing infrastructure. We don't have to rip out anything. It just makes your cameras that you've already invested in intelligent, and it brings that data so that you guys can see it and measure it. So without further ado, Scott, I'm going to have you do an overview of Thrive Aware and just give them some background on how this works, and then we'll save your questions if you're okay for that at the end.
Yeah, good. Appreciate it, Nate. And appreciate everybody, willing to listen to what Nate and I have to share with you folks. Just want to see, are you able to see the slides I have up? It's not going to be done by PowerPoint, but there's 3 or 4 that really help, paint the picture of what we're doing.
Yes, we see.
Okay, good. So, Nate mentioned left of bang, right of bang. Obviously, the intention is in this discussion, when you're using terms like bang, is to get people's attention. And as we've all seen over the course of the last 20 years, since the very first large, school shooting, the bang thing is what keeps you folks up at night, right? And over the course of the last 20 years, sort of the unfortunate part of where our focus has been is turning our schools, into Fort Knox, attempting to do everything we can to secure a building, which are all the right things to do, but missing the entire opportunity to be days, weeks, months, years before the bad thing happens. So, we're talking in horrific terms around bang, but the reality of what we're doing with our predictive analytics is well beyond, just the focus on preventing active shooter. The hope is that's not what we're ever going to happen or have to, identify. And that's the hope that the Thrive video computer vision analytics is never going to have to detect a weapon. The goal is to help the school use force multiplying technologies like we're all used to using today. And if you're not participants in generative AI, certainly friends and family members that and work associates are. But the goal is the technology can be used to take what your current SRO resources are doing, what your counselors are doing, what those people responsible for paying attention to the health and well-being of your students are doing, and provide them a force multiplier. So, just a value to talk about. Our technology, our platform development has been guided and influenced by Department of Justice, retired employees, PhD coming out of the FBI, who wrote the first threat assessment framework for the FBI, consultants and risk experts like Lou Barani, who's a member of our organization, and another organization that we all belong to called the Active Shooter Prevention Project. We've been influenced to bring what is essentially the first technology to the left side of that, right? Taking the problem, which is, schools today focused on investing money and time and resources into turning the building into Fort Knox. And the active shooter events that have taken place over the historical recent past have all taken place in schools that have done recent upgrades to their security infrastructure and missed the opportunity to identify former students as high potential risk long before those events took place. So the goal is drive early intervention. And what we're capable of seeing is a student who is simply different today than they were yesterday. We detect that difference across all of the data sources and systems that the school already has in place that essentially keeps track of how the student does on a daily basis. And then when we see a deviation, no matter what the scale of the difference is from the student's normal to where the student is being detected as being abnormal, we have the ability to tell somebody about it early on and then provide that person a clear view with a single lens to all the different data sources and what we identified as being different or unique than that student's day-to-day existence or day-to-day behavior. So as we all know, this is relevant across, all things that we deal with as just normal day-to-day, responsible people. When you detect a warning sign of something being wrong with something that you care about, whether it's your own health, certainly it's a student in school, it could be something as somewhat trivial as an automobile. You detect that problem early and you put intervention resources towards it as soon as possible. You change the trajectory, you change the speed, you change the cost of turning that particular issue around from being a potentially catastrophic event to minimizing the event, putting the proper intervention into that student and making sure that they get established back to their normal baseline. So very simply what the engine does is it simply looks at all your existing data sources, all the systems that you already have in place. It creates no new data, but it establishes a baseline of what is normal for the student. And very important, important to share with you, we don't look at any biographical information. So our system actually performs this without even knowing the student's first name or last name. So we anonymize any information relevant to biographical or PII, personally identifiable information about a student. We simply look at that unique identification number and we establish a baseline. The baseline is established by looking at historical grades, cumulative GPA, historical attendance, including excused absences, unexcused absences, tardies, their cybersecurity behavior across the systems that you're using today to monitor and track anybody who's using a school issue laptop or Chromebook and where they're browsing, what they're looking at, the things that they're doing, even some keystroke analysis across the behavioral management systems. We've created an observational portal that even allows the trusted identities in the school to make simple subjective observations about a person. Our engine collects it and then just does a rationalization. Is this a normal observation? Is this normal day-to-day performance of the student, or is something different? And when we see something different, again, we tell somebody about it. So important to know, the AI takes no direct action. It doesn't categorize a student. It doesn't score a student. It simply says, the student's different today than they were yesterday. Here's their normal baseline, and here's different from what our engine's detected from their normal baseline. And then the object is then to drive that intervention so that schools can have the earliest opportunity to find out what's going on in that particular student's life or school existence and see if there's a mechanism they can use to change that. Right, and so again, important to notice, we're an alerting platform versus a reporting platform, and this is a big deal in today's environment. Running reports means you're already too late. What our engine does is essentially behaves as a real-time reporting engine, meaning it's got relevant data up to this very second about what's going on in the school environment. It has the baseline, and it's simply looking for when something's different, which the school tells us what the difference tolerance levels are, and when it sees that difference, it tells somebody about it. Right, so we don't care if we're looking at one student or if we're looking at 10,000 students. It's going to pay attention to those students individually in real time, non-biased, no human error or human fatigue involved, and simply presenting that difference back to the person in the school system or the multiple people in the school system that would be responsible for responding to this particular type of incident. And then I'll stop on this slide because this gives you just a general perspective of how we're doing it. The data sources already exist. You guys own the data, you collect the data daily, but unfortunately, the data often sits there in a manner where it's essentially siloed, that it's impossible for a single person in the school to be looking at all the different types of data you collect about a student to do real-time comparative analysis of what's normal versus what's abnormal, right? And our engine, at a very impactful meaningful way, does that. Right, we establish the baseline, we look for the difference in the baseline, and then we tell the right person about it. And then over time, our engine gets really good at helping the school identify the interventions that you've used to actually have the biggest or fastest impact on turning that student's trajectory around. So over time, the engine will actually pay attention to the interventions that you log into the system, and it'll start to be able to make recommendations. Hey, last time we had a student that was going down this pathway with these very similar sorts of deviations from normal. These were the top 2 interventions that you've applied historically in the past to have the highest likelihood of a quick and immediate turnaround in that student's particular situation, right? So it's doing some real cool things. And then the stuff that you care about as school board members, that the general populace of taxpayers and so forth will care about, is that this is paying attention to FERPA, to HIPAA, to PII. And because we're not looking at any biographical information, PI information about a student, we maintain a very high level of compliance in that particular case. So no new data is created. We're simply looking at the data that you already collect. It sits there in storage environments and doesn't get paid attention to until somebody reacts, which, by the way, reacting is already too late. We de-identify or anonymize any personal biographical information. So when we pull information from the school, even though your IT folks will do everything they can to avoid sending us anything that we consider, bio information, PI information, our engine will actually look for it, tag it, and we'll tell the school system about it. Hey, we got a file from you coming from your extracurricular activity management system, and we found some PII data in there. Do you approve continuing to send us this information, or if you want to remove it, you can de-identify this particular data and remove it from the shared data that you're sharing with us. Again, the data is yours. It's not shared with anybody else. It's not sold. The day you want to delete the data, it gets turned off and it's deleted. And then we maintain our engine in a SOC 2 environment, meaning it's the most secured environment. And we use the most secured tools to develop our application, including all government-related standards, things like 256-bit AES encryption, secure communications, along the lines of, again, Department of Justice, FBI, Secret Service level communication requirements, and the data goes no place other than back to you when the engine has something to tell you. So I'll leave it there. If there's some questions, certainly be happy to answer those. I know there's some reference documents we shared, and we can make those available to you if you need to take a look at those.
Any questions on the predictive analysis side of the house?
My one question is, so with your program, every child is a risk, has a level of risk, and that monitors that. Is that what?
Yeah, so we're ingesting all your existing systems, time and attendance, performance, behavior changes, and then we'll be able to, from the time that child is in kindergarten to the time they're a senior in high school, we'll be able to tell you any behavior changes and alert to you guys to that so that you can make intervention and see what's going on in their life.
Who would enter the data?
It's done with your existing systems. So as you are already inputting your data, we're grabbing that feed with Corey, and then we're analyzing it for you.
So with progress with our SIS system, with
Public School Works.
With our MTSS, RTI, all the things that
they
we
just have
already,
access to
all
all
the
Yeah.
data.
of
This
Correct.
program will take
Okay.
all of those considerations, develop baseline on every kid. As kids progress,
Yeah, Scott, he asked a good question. What about outside the school? Can parents report into this?
It's not set up for any outside or untrusted identities to interact with the system to date. There's a way, though, that if a student, let's say an outside trusted source, it can be whomever you guys identify that to be, makes an observation about a student, that can be entered into our observational portal by somebody within the school system who's already an approved, stakeholder. But this doesn't extend itself out to anybody other than those trusted identities that you enable to have access to the system, within the school system.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Scott. I'm going to get into the reactive side of the house really quick and then answer any questions that they have.
Very good.
So this is how we do the real-time threat analysis. So again, as you guys are getting familiar with AI and everybody's familiar with ChatGPT, we have met with your resource officers and they have good plans, and then we'll back them up with NFPA 3000, which legally is the best protocols to follow. And when those protocols happen, those will pop up for your resource officers and for law enforcement to know the exact corrective action, because in these emergencies, your adrenaline's rushing, your heart's rushing, and it's hard to remember what's step one, what's the location, what do we do? So to kind of walk you guys through what we do with this is all of the items that we were just talking about. She asked a great question last time. She was like, well, how long does this take to implement? And with Corey and Scott, that piece just pulling into your existing systems is about 2 hours. And then after it runs for 3 weeks, you'll be able to have a baseline of what's normal. For us, the video, we can pull it in at about an hour. So this currently hits a box that it's just recording the video. And what we do with it is we add some AI accelerators, an NVIDIA card, and then some new accelerators called Halo, and those process it. So Aaron was asking some good questions. He was like, what about, could I get an alert if the gym, no one scheduled the gym on a Sunday yet, I got people in there? Of course. We just take the gym camera that you already have and we do people detection on Sunday. Let me know about it. And at least you have that accountability. Like, why do we have people in the gym? Occupancy counting is really big. So at all times I can arm the high school, middle school with how many occupants are in a space. So I take that video footage that's captured from those existing IP cameras and I add that intelligence to it so you have situational awareness. This is what it does in real time. So as my business partner Amid's walking through the school here, I'll pause it so we can walk through this, but instantly as it appears in the scene, it's going to draw and flag and say, hey, a weapon's been detected, and give it to your school resource officers automatic, either via text or email, because they may be doing other patrols, they may be out and about, but we can also send that right to Chillicothe High School PD so that they can see where that's at. And as that event occurs, it's going to start doing several different things. So based on the location, that strobe, this piece is called a large language model. It's going to be like that AI voice that you guys hear, but this sounds like a human being. It'll say, a weapon has been detected at the front entrance. And, we can send that through your existing PA systems, but you guys start to see how when you add up these 6, 7, 8 different disparate systems that every school has, and then you add this on top of it, you're saving a ton of different steps with this. So it identifies it. Severe weather, we light up green. Active shooter, we light up red. Fighting, we can light up yellow. So it can detect human behavior, start the call. But this is the important part. Not only do we do the video surveillance, but we wrote an AI agent to access control. So as I am coming through the building and I'm detected with a firearm, and you would rather have it be a broomstick and a laptop bag, oddly held, and then let that person in once it's cleared. But when we see that, we're around the 99% accuracy with BLMs. Our access control agent can say, hey, the threat's outside. I need to lock the front entrance. So even if they have a card, I can deny it, because a lot of times in an active shooter event, they'll shoot somebody with a card, and then that card turns into access throughout the building. We can override that, and then it stops that person from being able to go in the building. This is our version for security of ChatGPT. So your resource officers would be able to open that up, get the location of what's happening, and this person's acting like they have no clue what to do. What should I do in this situation? We pull up exactly where it's happening and your procedures and policies. So it details it out, and then that can be instantly streamed to law enforcement. The same thing that's detecting that weapon could detect a medical incident. Like I told you, that was really cool. An officer was supposed to be doing a round, and they didn't make it. The round said, I need you to go here. Well, they tapped in, and that person was laying on the floor, and it said floor detected, and they had a massive stroke. So, it's unbelievable what this learns after about 3 weeks of teaching it. Another thing is just normal fighting, that happens in a school. We see the crowd gathering, and the hardest thing to teach was what was fighting and what was dancing. And it was interesting to see how computer vision thought 2 totally different components of our life were the same thing. And I started to read what our code was reading, and I was like, that's interesting. So it took us about 8 months to detect fighting, but now we've got it down. But it's so interesting. If you saw it from an AI standpoint, how closely the 2 pose estimations were, and it made a lot of sense. But when at the end of this, when you guys will be able to basically see in a couple of hours your video, then the access control, and then it starts getting smart over 3 weeks. And we want to share that data with you, because some of our corporate clients, what they do is once this is established, they said, here's how we performed in September. And then you guys have a board meeting in November and you go look at our improvement, see, because it's measurable. We're able to say, hey, we had 17 door helds, you know, a rock, a shoe, blocking it to carry stuff in. And we improved that down to 3. And now we make it measurable so you can see how the staff is performing, how the security behavioral changes, our imposterings change, because we make it so that those events are measurable. So it's really fun for you guys to be able to see that, measure it, and see the improvement that's happening. And last but not least, how do we get that map? I want to show you guys this. I take a 3D scan and I walked your team through this. And this will be nice for you guys to use down the road as well. But at the end of it, how I give that feed to law enforcement, and if they've never been in the building, at the end of this, you will have a 3D rendering of your entire middle school and high school. And then I tag that with points. So if there is a fire, I can pull this up and Chillicothe PD will be able to virtually go in your building and know where those threats are. I color code them. The fire department do the same thing. But your scan, I identify where all your existing assets are. So if I'm Chillicothe PD and I've never been in this area, but I see those 2 are assets I can click and I light up this part of your floor plan red, I can quickly visually see you've got 1, 2, 3 cameras. So this zone would light up red for PD, and they wouldn't need to know how to operate the system. They're going to see a clear red blinking light, and when they click that, it would give them situational awareness of what's happening in this space, whether it be a fight, whether it be a weapon. But we give that information to you very quickly. But this is really helpful to be able to drive your building the way that you physically see it. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'll open this up for any questions that you may have. None?
Nothing?
Outside shooter, that would be, it's not a student or staff.
Good question. It will still detect that like a weapon. The longest part of that 3 weeks is going to be understanding what Chillicothe PD looks like. Because you're exactly right. It could be a former student. It could be a stranger from Yoctangi Park. So I let Aaron know one of our mobile trailer providers, because you have a blind spot out in that far parking lot over here. One of our mobile trailer providers is going to donate Chillicothe High School a mobile trailer. You see them at Lowe's and Home Depot with the blue lights. We can put our cameras around there. That way, if somebody comes from the perimeter that's not a student but is planning on doing something bad, we're going to load that up with 5 or 6 cameras and beam it back to the building. But great question. It takes it a while to learn just who belongs in the school and who doesn't. But really quickly, once this is deployed, you can even drag and drop a sexual predator list. And if they show up around the school, it'll let you know. It doesn't always have to be just for active shooter. That's really our primary focus. But there's going to be a lot of side benefits too, especially drills, mustering drills. Swatting is got an intake of 300%. People calling in fake bombs, things like that. If I were to leave my backpack on the ground and walk away, I could draw a boundary box and send that to your resource officer that there was a backpack left behind. So there's other things that, are very valuable too, just to know how many human occupants are in the school for mustering if you need to get out.
I think we talked about this, but is there any capabilities for the buses? I just didn't remember what the answer was.
You brought that up last time. Do your buses currently have cameras?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We would just pull that feed in.
Okay.
And then we could do a line count with people detection, tell you how many riders rode the bus, how many got off, and where.
Okay.
And then one last thing is the cool part about this is you guys have invested in the Halo vape sensors in the restrooms. We integrate it to those. And I was sharing, it's amazing because they have a mic in them for keyword detection. We can bring that in. So if you see a normal bathroom sound audio levels, you and I talking, and then all of a sudden it goes up here, it can be bullying, it can be fighting, we call it in a girl's restroom, They were all ganging up on a girl, and you can't have a camera in the bathroom, but it can hear that escalated voice, so you guys can send staff in there to intervene.
Julie, do you have any input you want to provide, or?
I mean, I'm excited about, we'll do anything that help us.
And then you met with Captain Short. He was on once. Did you get any feedback from him? Okay.
And we would like your help too, just connecting with Chillicothe PD, because we'd like to set that up so that in the PD, they have a strobe dedicated for Chillicothe High School and a screen. And that way they're not recording what you're teaching. They can't log in and see anything happening unless one of those threats kick in.
Is that generally going in dispatch area?
Yes. Yep. That's
Does this
exactly.
have facial identification?
It does, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
You said to have that list.
Yeah, you can load that.
It totally, really amazing. Those things usually don't come very cheap though. How much does this cost?
We own the software, so we talked, all we were doing is going to have you guys purchase the hardware and the access control, and then we're going to help you guys with the AI. Because this is the first time a school, not a corporation, has gotten it. So, for example, we do the Columbus Blue Jackets, and somebody will take a cup of beer and throw it, and then they know they're going to get in trouble when they go run off. So they click the person that threw the cup of beer. Now think about it, they're paid ticketing. Sometimes they're even escorted out of the arena. But where they have a ticket, they just go down on the next gate and they're right back in. We've done that so that we scan them. They go, no, he threw the beer on people. We threw him out. And then when he tries to get back in with Ticketmaster, we deny it. So he reached out to me and I said, yes. I go, this would be our first school where we're going to implement our artificial intelligence. For a lot of corporations buy it for weapons detection, things like that. But we want you guys to be the first school to have the proactive and the reactive under one. And I warned them because, the Governor DeWine, where we're Ohio-based, we're the first Ohio-based AI company. They're very interested in talking to you folks after it's been implemented, and how it's helped you. Because this we want, just like fire alarm. It's very frustrating, but fire alarm has a national code. Aaron can't pick, I don't want fire alarm in that side of the building. I want it here. It's code driven, and no kid has died in a school since the 60s because they have code driven fire alarm. Security doesn't have that. Security puts out a bid and says, hey, we need 30 cameras. And then you as a school board, you're looking at it going, I hope this is the right thing. What we're trying to do, and it's going to happen with NFPA, the same people that write fire alarm code, we're building the first national school safety standard for the nation, and you guys are the start of it. Like it's code driven. I'm working hand in hand with them so that we're following their rules. I was explaining to the team, there's a program called K through 12 Pass Safety Checklist. We ingest that in here. So the system is keeping you legal and compliant based off the best standards that's produced.
And to your question, we would pay for this out of permanent improvement money, correct?
For all, but the hardware would be out of permanent improvement. The subscription would be out of general fund because we can't pay for subscription out of general fund. Total cost, if you want to allude to that.
As Nate said, there are a number of grants available that we're pursuing. The yearly cost that comes with this, it actually is very minimal. The yearly cost. Also, Nate's company, he hasn't said, they're doing a lot of this work very, very cheap. They also on an evaluation of our facility here, they identified several places that we have blind spots. They're donating additional cameras for us to be able to overcome that. You mentioned that trailer. That's if I'm not mistaken, $70,000 trailer that this company that Nate is bringing for us, another 12,000 cameras. And I imagine the work that he's doing is a lot cheaper than it would be.
How many cameras?
12 additional.
Oh, okay.
And we already currently have
97.
in a high school, middle school.
Yeah.
We still have much.
Bill, to your point, it is Total cost, 65,000. 11,000 would come out of general fund. The rest would be coming out of permanent improvement.
65,000 for the first, then would it be 65,000 every year?
No.
or-
No.
No.
$65,000 initial year, $11,000 for the next 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
I imagine there'll be a reevaluation, but there is grant money there that we've already used to pay for our existing cameras, for a lot of our upgrades, safety-wise. We've been very fortunate, the money that the state and the feds have provided, to be able to do a lot of the things that we already have. And it's updated, so it's compatible with what his company does. That's why this is really a good fit. And to be the first building, the first school district to implement this, I think it could be potentially something very much a feather in our cap for us keeping our staff and our kids safe.
And just to give you an example, one of the companies that started doing this with models was called Zero Eyes. And Zero Eyes was charging schools $230 a camera per year just to detect weapons.
We met with them.
Oh, you did? Okay. I did too. Okay. I'm like, before this all started, I was like, okay, weapons detection. I either teach it, and you guys don't know how expensive that is because we have to show the camera all different kinds of angles and weapons and how to detect that. That I met with Zero Eyes and I was like, hey, can we port your models into ours so I don't have to teach it 4,700 different firearms? And then when we saw the accuracy, my engineers go, hey, we need to move to VLMs. And I told Aaron, it was kind of like a light went off. I'm like, okay. So the minute we moved to visual language models with just simple words, I'm looking for a weapon, gun, knife, baseball bat. It's looking at, it's using the cloud to know every type of weapon that's out there, and then it teaches our system. That's how we're able to pull it up in a millisecond instead of like most of them take like 6 to 7 seconds because it has to be that perfect angle. And it goes, oh, I've seen that before. That's a weapon. With ours, if it even knows what a gun looks like in a holster. So you guys will get to see this, but when we implement this, the Chillicothe PD will probably set it off the most, and we just have a thumbs up, thumbs down button because we want to start to learn what those officers look like so that we don't have a false alarm and it's an officer and the school locks down. That's why our AI, we always keep the man in the loop because that's the perfect way to do it so that you're not locking down a school and it's not, it's an officer just pulling up doing a patrol.
So on the grant funding, just in general, is this something that we would look to secure the grants before we want it? I know
This is initially coming out of program improvement. The grant money will be used just to sustain.
with our financial situation, and that just make more sense to me to secure the grants before we purchase. I mean, we got a chance to, we may be losing more staff, but we're.
But I don't know if you heard that we're using permanent improvement money. This is not money that would be, that any of the, that would not be money that would go.
The
back
annual
to
fee of $11,000 is what we would get. We-
Each year, right?
Yeah. It's not the 65, it's 11,000 a year for the subscription, basically. Okay, anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I
Appreciate it. Nice job.
Absolutely.
Welcome to visitors and public participation. Welcome to visitors to this and all board meetings. The board desires citizens of the district to attend its meetings so that they become better acquainted with the operations and programs of the schools, and so that the board may have an opportunity to hear the wishes and ideas of the public. All meetings of the board are open to public and the media. Do we have any requests?
No.
All right. Student liaison, Mr. Byrd.
All right, and sports, some updates. We just had Carte Ligon had 420 rushing yards, which was the single game school record. Coach Breath just had his 100th win for the girls soccer program, and Coach McCorkle here just coached his 500th game for the boys soccer program. In school, high school and middle school just had their first parent-teacher conference night last Wednesday. Friday was our Start with Hello kickoff assembly. Guest speakers and videos centered around kindness, anti-violence, and making a difference. Sophomore Ella Moorhead came to administration with the idea to bring joy and kindness into our school, to which the Start With Hello program was created. We will have different kindness and welcoming activities planned every day this week. Today, students, we're doing hellograms. Students can have kind messages delivered to each other. And part of the program is the establishment of the SAVE Club, which stands for Students Against Violence Everywhere. Similar to the Keys to Success anti-drug program, students will pledge to be violence-free. And on the Assembly Day, Mayor Luke Feeney declared Friday, September 19th, You Matter Day in Chillicothe. And yeah, that's everything.
Awesome. Thank you. Legislative update?
Yeah, like I said, I think the biggest thing right now is the upcoming forecast that will be presented. It has to be presented prior to October 15th and adopted by the board. And I think we'll discuss setting a date for that here in a little bit in tandem with the report card data that we'll be doing. So that's all I have currently.
Pickaway Ross update?
I have no report at this time.
All right. Treasurer report and recommendations?
Yeah, I'd like to recommend A through D. D being the gifts and donations, which we've received $600 from the Chillicothe Cavalier Club for the Connect 4 program. That is what we've gotten this month. So I'd like to recommend A through D.
Motion?
Motion.
Discussion?
What is TransFinder Corporation?
TransFinder Corporation is what we use to do our bus routing.
Thank you.
Who's the second?
Anything else?
Yeah, Sean.
Roll, please.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Mr. Spalding?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Superintendent recommendations?
Okay, I'd like to recommend A through D. The Thrive Logic contract is in here as well. Not A through D, A through F. Sorry about that. Can't read my own writing. But the Thrive contract is in here. I don't know if you want to vote on that tonight or where you're at with that.
I got a motion on that.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yeah, just going on the Thrive, and as I said, really amazing, amazing stuff, far beyond anything I could have ever imagined. Baseline and all that. It certainly will give a lot of interesting data. I just leery about it sending us out on a bunch of red herrings. I mean, I don't know. All of a sudden, we're going to think everybody's a potential shooter or everyone's a potential suicide victim. It's got its place. There's no doubt. But as we implement that, I'd be, just very careful going forward on all of its capabilities and misreading the data and just my AI or my analytics are all, as you can imagine, based in one area. And I've seen those analytics come up. Well, Aaron and I probably saw the analytics yesterday afternoon at about 3:30. The analytics had the Browns about a 5% chance to win. So analytics have their place, but human intervention, human observation, human common sense sometimes has to really be involved. I guess that's, kind of my, what I'd say.
Well, and I think that's where the observation piece that they will, our staff know our kids pretty well, unless they're new.
Right.
So I know that that'll be a big part of us, when we're looking at, kids that are, this program is deemed a threat, we have staff that know our kids pretty
Mhm.
well. To your point, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, that's, I guess it's always nice to be first, better than last.
Is there a date that we're projecting this to launch?
They said once they get started, it's 3 weeks. Takes about 3 weeks to get everything integrated and off we go.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
It's very amazing.
Should we just vote on and get it done?
Motion was made and seconded. Is that correct?
Discussion now. It's one of those things you don't need it till you need it, right?
Yeah.
And
And I will tell you, we've had a significant uptick of fights this year. And we've had a couple, knives and things like that. Julie, you can speak to this, but we've probably had 20 expulsion hearings already. And we're 5 weeks in.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about the small percentage.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how it helps with the daily.
Yeah,
the
maintain.
Daily school day, how things go.
Yeah.
It's, it's never, maybe Sean pointed out, it's some crazy gunman comes running in here, there's really nothing you can do.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
But, following that,
Is it a contract or is it can you get out of it?
Yeah, it's a year to year. I will say that this system, they're providing a lot of things to us. It's about $300,000 if you were just anybody else. So it's a great opportunity for us to get, $300,000 worth of software and opportunity at $65,000. And then the contract is year to year. And we get safety grants every year. So I think it's going to be difficult to put that 11,000 in there. What we typically spend those safety grants on is cameras and things like that, the vape detectors and those kind of things.
And I also feel like it's smart weapons detection, like, am I correct? Yes, it'll enhance the weapons detection that we already have. So to be able to work through that. Because right now, we don't have the ability to be alerted. If Tim and I are out and about in the building that they are running around, we don't have the ability to be alerted by that, but we'll be able to do that now. So.
I'd like to see the baseline comparison year to year.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Oh, it's going to be
4 or
very
5
interesting.
years,
Yeah.
and I'll be very interested to see where they come from kindergarten to
Yeah.
4th grade, to 6th grade, to 10th grade. That could be some very valuable data.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it really can be. We just hope and pray that you never get anything too serious.
Let's hope not.
anything else? Roll, please.
Mr. Spalding,
Yes.
Mr. Wade,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
Discussion informational items. Work, date and time for a work session. Anybody got any input on that?
We're pulling up a calendar right now because we're trying to make both dates fit. So mine would have to be before October 15th.
Lisa, do you want to do it after work hours? I mean, the report card, we can spend as much time on that thing or as little time as you want.
So the report card meeting, will that be the whole board present or will we be breaking it
Well,
up into?
I'd like to do it in tandem with the forecast just so we can knock it out in one day and you guys don't have to come back twice. But that's totally up to preference with you guys. We can schedule 2 separate as well.
I prefer to do one if we can knock them both
Yeah.
out. Because we got it going maybe at a 3 o'clock time, which is towards the end of the workday. And
Yeah, on the 14th, there's a fall orchestra concert at 7. That might be a good day to do it.
Is that like a Tuesday?
It's a Tuesday, yeah. Like around 3 or 4. Joe, that'd probably depend on your schedule and Ryan.
That's my work day.
That's your work day. You have to have it by when?
The 15th, so I don't know if the 9th is something to consider.
How about
I-
the 6th or 7th?
About the first thing in the morning.
I could make anything work. I just need a little bit of time in October so that I can give you the best updated enrollment data and also the payroll data as well. I need September's data. That's why I wanted to push it out to October, because we have a lot of changes happening currently, and I just want to give you guys the best insight. So a little bit of time, as much time in October as I can get is best, but 6th or 7th, I can make it work.
Can you guys do that? The 6th or 7th of October?
I could, but I can't do 3 o'clock. My work day ends at 6, so my work day starts at 8. Usually ends around, well,
And we're
7, but I can
talking
modify
probably
something.
an hour and a half, probably at least.
For the forecasting piece, I wouldn't say that much, but the report cards, that's going to take some time, I'd say, depending on how in-depth you guys want to get.
We can make the report card 45 minutes to an hour.
And I can meet with Steve privately too.
Yeah.
And you guys can always meet with me individually to go over any
Yeah, so don't worry about
elements
my
of the
schedule.
forecast.
I'll show up as soon as I can for whatever time it is.
So do you have games on Tuesdays?
No.
No?
Mm-mm, that's all I was worried about. Mondays or Tuesdays.
Are good?
Yeah.
So can we do the 7th then?
Mm-hmm. What time do you want to
All right
start?
with you?
October 7th,
Yeah,
what day of the week is
it's a Tuesday.
Tuesday. What time?
We haven't got that far yet. It doesn't matter to me as far as time goes. I mean, if something works best for you guys, I'll make it work.
Anything works.
Do you have a preference? I mean, do you have a preference on time?
I'd rather do it early, but
I like to do it early.
So what time? 8?
8.
Does that
And
work?
October 7th, 8 a.m.
And then
I'll figure it. I can try and figure something out. But if not, I can always meet with them.
We can meet
prior
individually, yeah.
or just that.
all
same
right. So October 7th at 8 o'clock.
we'll just meet up in the Atwood conference room.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Board member comments.
Yeah, just sadly, I have to report Cavalier Nation lost a great member there over the weekend. Also a great personal friend of mine. Mr. Tony Woods passed away Saturday, beloved known as Woody. Truly Cavalier blue ran through his veins as a student athlete, a coach, a teacher, a parent, a fan. He loved the Cavaliers through and through. Was a great teacher here, coach here. Every year, for the last, 10 years of his career, if not more, he was always voted in as a senior class as one of the readers. Just an honor that he really appreciated. Just got thinking about so many Woody stories, 99% of which are not tellable right now. Just a great guy that I will personally miss. Just one thing, just besides being a reader, I know a person that a lot of you respect, and of course I did too. Mr. Cuppett, Tom Cuppett, when he was given the Educator Emeritus Award, out of all the people he could have chose to introduce him, he actually had Woody introduce him that morning. So just thinking about all those two guys together, all they've done for our community, our schools. We lost Mr. Cuppett a few years ago, and of course, I've just lost Mr. Woods, and they are and will be missed a great deal. So thank you very much.
I had the privilege on Friday to read to preschoolers at down in Mount Logan, and I think some of the teachers were a little worried, but I thought they behaved great. It was the best part of my day, it was the best part of my weekend actually, and so except for yesterday. So I thank you for allowing me to do that, and it was a great time. So thank your staff. I think they all did great, and I enjoyed it. So thank you. Anyone else?
Now, just for the record, I don't go to Columbus Blue Jacket games, okay?
It wasn't you.
Just want to clarify that.
Motion to adjourn.
All they charge for beer at those places, who would throw it? Gee whiz.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Uh,
All right, thanks.
Who seconded? Was it Ryan?
You know, I'm gonna have to gold plate that and get that too.
Ryan, did you second that or someone else? Who seconded that?
Sam,
John.
say you did a great job, but you know.